Welcome to today's Explainer. I'm your host, and today we're looking at the invisible lines that divide and connect our entire world. The global economy isn't just some chaotic free-for-all market. Actually, it's heavily dictated by massive, highly organized, and honestly sometimes pretty fragile alliances. Think of this as a high-stakes geopolitical briefing on the alliances that literally dictate modern global trade. We're going to break down the dates, the players, the objectives, and the critical shifts of the 5 major economic blocs operating right now.
Okay, let's dive into this. Because when you ask who really controls global trade, you aren't looking for a single country or even a massive corporation. Nope, you're looking at organized economic blocs. These are groups of nations that band together to multiply their economic power, secure their borders, and ultimately dictate the flow of money and goods around the planet.
So here's the dossier docket for today's summit. We've got 5 specific files to open and review. Number 1, SAARC. Number 2, the G8. Number 3, the G20. Number 4, ASEAN. And finally, number 5, the European Union. Let's get moving.
All right, opening up the very first file. We're focusing on the South Asian territory, with SAARC, the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation.
Taking a look at the summary card here, this bloc was founded way back on December 8, 1985. And their core mission? Well, it's all about promoting the welfare of the people in South Asia. They want to aggressively accelerate economic growth, respect each other's sovereignty and territorial independence, and really build strict, lasting self-reliance among these nations. And yes, it is fully operational today.
Let's do a quick roll call to establish the geographic footprint of this bloc. The original charter was adopted by 7 founding members. You've got Bangladesh, Bhutan, and India. Add in the Maldives, Nepal, and Sri Lanka. And of course, Pakistan. We are talking about an intensely tight, incredibly strategically crucial region of the globe.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the bloc's evolution over time. It actually wasn't until 2007, over 2 decades later, that Afghanistan was formally added as the 8th member country. That late addition really highlights the shifting geopolitical realities of the area and just the ongoing need for broader cultural and economic cooperation.
Moving right along, let's transition sharply to our second file, shifting our focus over to the West and major industrialized nations with the G8.
So this is the Group of 8. It officially formed under that name in 1997. Originally, it was the G7, right? That was the USA, the UK, Canada, Germany, Japan, Italy, and France. Basically, the advanced industrialized powerhouses of the world. When they brought Russia into the fold, it officially became the G8. Their objectives are just massive in scale. We're talking collectively coordinating global monetary management, specifically keeping a close eye on exchange rates and interest rates, along with boosting employment and actively promoting democracy as a unified policy front.
But here is a massive reality check. The status of this group has dramatically altered since then. Russia actually ended up leaving the group later on. That is a crucial historical exit, and it perfectly highlights the volatility of these alliances. Even inside the most exclusive global clubs, things change.
Okay, let's crack open the third dossier. We're signaling a major shift here, moving from a highly exclusive club to a massive global forum. Enter the G20.
The Group of 20, founded in 1999, their primary directive is actually pretty straightforward. They meet annually to tackle the most pressing economic and financial issues on the entire planet. They're aiming for absolute international financial stability to promote global economic growth and keep international trade secure.
To achieve that kind of global scale, you need a lot of players. The G20 includes all those original G7 members we mentioned, plus a massive block of other developed and emerging markets spanning the globe. In the Americas, you've got Argentina, Brazil, Canada, and Mexico. Over in the Asia-Pacific region, we have Australia, China, India, Indonesia, and South Korea. Plus, you have other major global players pulling their weight, like Russia, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, and Turkey.
And this brilliantly illustrates the fundamental difference between these two groups: scope. While the G8 seeks cooperation purely on economic issues facing major industrial economies, the G20 reflects the wider, much more complex interests of both developed and emerging economies. It's a monumental shift from concentrated industrial power to an attempted massive global economic consensus.
Let's move on to the fourth briefing file. We're heading back over to Asia to examine one of the world's most influential regional organizations, ASEAN.
Looking at the summary card for the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, it was founded on August 8, 1967. The roll call here is 10 nations: the Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Singapore, plus Thailand, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, Myanmar, and Brunei. Their mission? formulate plans for economic cooperation, slash those trade barriers, and act as a regional security forum to really strengthen peace and social progress.
Let's move to the timeline and see how this builds over the years. By 1999, ASEAN had created a free trade zone so members could trade as a unified bloc globally. But a massive milestone hit later, in December 2009. That's when India entered into a huge agreement with ASEAN to eliminate import duties on a ton of manufactured goods. This basically allowed a free flow of goods and massively accelerated trade between India and the ASEAN bloc.
However, time for another reality check. Despite emerging as a highly influential organization and succeeding in eliminating countless duties, ASEAN ultimately failed to create a single common market. It is definitely an active alliance today, but with very mixed structural results.
Finally, let's open the fifth and perhaps most complex file on our docket, the European Union.
Officially founded as the EU on November 1, 1993, this bloc has a wildly ambitious core mission. See, they didn't just want a simple trade agreement. They wanted a true internal single market. That means eliminating internal tariff barriers entirely and ensuring the absolute free movement of people, goods, services, and capital across member nations. Highly integrated, to say the least.
Tracing its history, it actually started way back in 1957 with an initial treaty of just 6 founding nations: Belgium, France, Germany, Italy, Luxembourg, and the Netherlands. Fast forward past its 1993 foundation, and we hit a seismic geopolitical event. On January 31, 2020, the United Kingdom formally withdrew from the European Union. Despite that critical, dramatic exit, the EU continues to operate with 27 member countries today.
So, the crucial point is how they actually manage this massive integration. To truly bind these economies together, they created a common currency, the euro. This was adopted by 14 countries specifically to completely eliminate fluctuations in the exchange rate between them. I mean, it is the ultimate commitment to an internal single market.
Which brings us to the end of our summit briefing today, and honestly leaves us with a very urgent question to think about. We've seen Russia exit the G8, we've seen the UK exit the EU. If economic blocs with this much historical and financial integration can just fracture and alter their status, how stable is the future of global trade? These alliances shape our entire world, but their operational realities are constantly shifting right under our feet. Thanks for joining me for this explainer. Keep your eyes on the data, and I'll see you in the next briefing.